Hello everyone, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely hope you're doing amazingly well today. If you are brand new, welcome. First time you are here, welcome. And for those of you who are returning, obviously welcome too. Before we move forward, I just wanted to do a very quick announcement. I wanted to let you guys know that I've decided to take down the Unicorn School of Light for now. I put that up for you guys last year in 2020 to help support with all the energies that were going on. And I really feel at this point that those energies have sort of moved into many different directions, and I really like to stay current for you guys. So I've decided to take that down, and fear not, there are many different projects that I'm involved in. Too early to talk about them just yet, but the Unicorn School of Light will pop up again in the future in some form or another that's a lot more relevant. I absolutely promise you. And I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. Anybody who took the courses in the Unicorn School of Light last year, 2020, I hope they brought you some kind of joy, support, or at least let you know that you're not alone in anything that you were going through. So thank you. And I will keep you very firmly abreast, as they say, with new news of other things that I'm working on when the time is right. So getting back right into our beautiful reading today, we are doing What Path Are You Currently On? And we're getting messages specifically for you, personal messages from your spirit guides. So today we have 3 piles with the soul cards. I believe it's soul cards 2 on here with these images. So it's just a matter of really sitting with yourself and figuring out which beautiful image is calling you close. Now it could be the colors, the image, the energy of them, whichever image is calling you to that pile. Of course, take as much time as you need. We always say that. And take a really big deep breath and hold for a second. And as much as you can, let out all of your worries. Just for this moment, living in the moment, the more aligned you are with these readings, the more they will resonate with you. And if you need to, of course, always go ahead and pause that button and just take a little meditation, figure out which is for you, which pile is for you. The timestamps will always be down below. And as always, if you are brand new, then you don't know this, but we always have a spiritual candle. We always have magic oil that I've made under the full moon with the eclipse for extra healing, abundance, and beauty. So you're welcome to release into the flame anything you no longer need and bring in all of that beautiful abundance. So these messages, these readings can be used for healing, activation, knowledge, support, love, whatever it is that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and move pile 2 and pile 3 out of the way and get right into your reading. Beautiful. So if you chose pile 1, this is your reading again. What path are you currently on? And these are messages from your spirit guides. And just as a reminder, regardless of path, you're never locked into absolutely anything. You can move in any direction. And that's why when people come to me for readings, I try to really make sure that they understand that they're getting a soul reading, because predictive readings, they can change with your energy in every decision and every moment. So these are not locked in, but it'll give you a very firm understanding about the energy that you have in and around you and where you're going with that energy. So what I see here very much is, and do these, especially, I mean, when you channel, you're channeling from your own source. And particularly with these cards, they bring up so many different meanings. So if you have a different meaning, or a sort of a different slide on this, or anything to add, please do, pile 1, feel free to put those in the comments below. I'd love to hear your version of what you felt when you saw this image. But what we're feeling here, what I'm feeling here, is very much bringing the inner knowledge and bringing it out into sort of new beginnings, and letting something firmly develop, come into the beginning stages of creativity. Now, this is something that you could have been working on before and then finishing it off, or this is something in your life, energy wise, that you are feeling is ready to come to fruition. It's ready to come from within out into the larger world. And that's based on your knowledge and beauty, bringing your knowledge and beauty. Of course, for some of you, the fertility could actually mean actual fertility with a child. Many different ways to have children, be it adoption or naturally having your child. But I don't know if that's the right way to say it, naturally having your child, but physically giving childbirth, you know what I mean. But it's also for a lot of you, it's time for you to share a specific project and bring it out into the world. And sometimes for some of you, that project will be you bringing yourself from the sort of internal out into the external. You're absolutely ready. So let's put that there. And again, feel free to comment down below on what it is that you felt for this card. So we have a couple of tarots, and we're going to come to this, and then we also have our tarot oracle cards on the side here for extra clarity as we move forward. So we have the 9 of staves, and that is reversed. Oh, wands. And we have the Prince of Wands, Prince of Staves too. So yeah, I think it's really interesting if you look at this for imagery. We have the egg here, and we have this, even though it's a shield of sorts, looks like a mirror. It's the same. It's pretty much the same here. The same imagery brought over. So it's definitely for you guys, it's a time for slowing down. It's a time for being really aware of your emotions. It's about being present in the present moment. For some of you, there's been sort of this overwhelming because you've been working with objectivity to a certain degree, but you've been working on the sort of bigger picture stuff, bringing everything in, and while this has been incredible because you've been in sort of, a lot of you have been in some sort of like reflective mood of really understanding all aspects of your life as they come together, and there's just sort of new aha moments there. Now you're moving into this real understanding of what the present moment brings for you, this real clarity of vision in the present moment. And yes, everything that you've been through and every experience that you've had has certainly brought you here. I mean, very grateful for your presence. You needed to go through all of that one way or another. Well, I don't know if needed to go through it is quite how we would put it, but extracting all the wisdom that you've gone through, and for some of you and certain situations that wasn't easy, but you've been able to do that now. Now you're being asked for what your path you're currently on. You're being asked to, and you sort of trained yourself in many ways for a lot of you to look at the bigger picture, because that way you can keep eye on what's going on and you make sure that the ball isn't dropped. And this comes from being ultra independent too, needing to step up and do things yourself. For some of you, it comes from a lack of trust of anybody else sort of bringing through whatever it is that you need to fruition, which is totally fair enough. And also for some of you, it's a little bit of a lack of trust from the universe too, but that's because you've worked so in your little box one way or another, even though you've been quite open. It's been that sort of paradoxical way of living. You're working with the universe and the universal energy very differently now as you did before. You were always clued in, as it were, but it's almost like you were very adept at steering the ship, and the ship is you, of course, in any way that you wanted. And the universe only really stepped in when they needed to, when you really asked for help. So, it's not that the universe was not there to protect you and support you. They were, of course, but you may not have been so aware of that presence before. It's because you really didn't work with the universe in that way. It wasn't an ego way. It was just a way of you just sort of predicting what needed to be done, and again, sort of setting out all eyes in every direction and making sure you've got everything covered. And that comes from the ultra independent spirit. But then at some point, your spirit would have gotten weary and said, I can't do this alone. Or that you became very aware of loops going around, the same sort of people, the same sort of information, the same sort of outcomes, one way or another. And you got to the point where you wanted to level up, you wanted to go further. And that's when you started working with a different side to you. You've always been spiritual, but you really actually went very much within. And sort of, you've always done that dark work, but you started working, taking that dark work and realizing sort of the shadow work and realizing how fruitful that can be. And within that work, that's when I started working with your spirit guides. And once you started working with your spirit guides, we're just giving you a little extra information as we come to your path. As soon as you started working with your spirit guides in a new way, you really did understand that not all this work needed to be done for yourself. You could definitely, they could provide some wisdom for you, and you started loosening the reins just a little bit. So this is about this sort of this pride, this understanding of who you are, and getting grounded into a new version of you, really, where, and this is going to seem strange for a lot of you, but where you begin to start to leave things alone. There was always this understanding of, and we want to be very clear, in order to get where you need to be, you definitely need action. That divine masculine needs to come in. You've got a lot of passion to move things forward, but it's not really the action doesn't take that much action. It doesn't really get you as far as it could if it doesn't work with the intuition. And getting into that intuition is becoming very, very still. Very, very still. And staying in that small moment. Because that small moment actually isn't small. In that small moment, what you are is you have the ultimate power. And where you are in that small moment is you're not a product of your past and you're not in the future yet. So you're getting to the point where, and even when you're in sort of the present moment now, you're still filing through some of the past elements of you and still identifying a little bit of the stuff that you've been through. Oh, but you're coming out on the other end of that where you're like, okay, I've been through this and this is who I am. You're starting to appreciate who you are, and that's wonderful. But there's still little remnants of when you're in that present moment of the past still with you, of the past things that happened to you. So what's happening now on the path that you're currently on is that you're learning that in this new moment, everything is new. That you can pull in that person that you were, everything that you've been through from the past, stay in the present moment, but not be a product of the past at all. You can absolutely leave it behind, including ailments that came up, that would have come up to show you certain things, to so you can heal from your past. Because a lot of you were just go go go, got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. And you didn't always pay attention to your physical body in the way that you could have. A lot of you have suffered from burnout one way or another, or you really go full charge and then you have to stop and regroup and then go full charge again. So, but this again is something that you're aware of or coming into the understanding of. So being in this present moment means that you take you've extracted all the wisdom from the past, but when you're in this present moment, you are sort of free to move in any direction. You're not a product of your past anymore. And in that, you bring in all of your wisdom in a brand new way. See, before, what you were doing is that you were utilizing all of the wisdom that you have from your past, but you were still bringing in elements of your past. So you weren't able to have that core rooting foundation of who you are and free to move forward in this brand new way, because there was still sort of wisps and echo from your past as you move forward, because you were still bringing it in. So there's ways that you can do that. These are timeless messages. We just did have a full moon, however, a full super moon. And we just a couple of days ago, Pluto went, I believe, retrograde, but I believe it's until, I think, 20th of October 2021. So we've got a couple of months of this. Now this is it's a very slow moving planet. So it will shift. You will feel it. Not quite in the same way that we feel Mercury retrograde, for instance, where it's like for some people it's 3.5 weeks of bedlam, absolute craziness, and then you come out of it, and then you're like, oh, okay, and then that's when you start seeing it's really like sort of being in the eye of the storm, but you can't really move in that 3.5 weeks. It's not, it doesn't work that way for everybody, but for some it does. It can have that effect. Pluto is going to be a lot slower, but it really asks you to go within. It really will bring you to that point of being able to give that real attention to being in that insular space. And in that insular space, it's going to be really wonderful because you really do, again, get to extract what you need, but you get to leave absolutely everything behind. And in that moment, there's true power because you can move in any direction, and you move in any direction in a brand new way, not bringing any of the echoes of the past with you, which means that you get to root into who you are. And you get to change aspects of your personality should you want to. Certain aspects of our personality, we all go through this. Is enacted and comes about because of protection. It comes about because we've needed it. Comes about because of the reins of survival that we've needed to bring in. And that's just human. That's what we've needed to do. This is the new point of view where you get to really let go. You really get to see and let go. And so let's not say let go, let's say retire. You get to retire certain aspects of your personality that you no longer need because it's not in survival anymore. And as you move forward, you realize that there's whereas before the passion turned into fight sometimes, even as you're in your inner mind, you're fighting and constantly what it is to be specific. It's not that you're fighting in your mind, it's that you're defending yourself in your mind constantly, and that's what you've had to do before. So you're always ready to defend yourself, you're always ready for others. You speak up clearer and louder for others to hear you. That's the way it's had to be before, but this is a brand new era for you where you're not going to need to be able to do that. You're moving forward into this new world, and again, into this new way of being. And into this new way of being, the universe steps in and helps you in a brand new way. And you get to sort of, the way that I keep being shown is that you get to put down that armor. When you get to put down that armor, something really amazing happens. You have a lot more time and energy to bring back to you instead of constantly. And it's not physical necessarily. You don't, even when it's in your head or in your mind, of defending yourself, it's not that it comes up and you physically have to defend yourself. It's just that it's you feel as though your energy needs to be defended, this, that, and the other. So as we said, if you feel like it, you can do a ritual too for really clearing up your energy, really cutting those cords from the past energy, and also for any sort of leaks in your aura too, because you've been so open in the past. That might be something that's, and that works on a physical level. That might be something if you feel as though you need to do. There's lots of meditations, especially on YouTube. You can just work with your guides and have them go in and clear things out. Let's see what happens, what's going on in here. Karmic completion, absolutely, number 10. Beautiful. Yeah. This is a way for you to sort of slow down, put down the armor, really understand who you are. And some of it's coming from a place that, I don't want to defend anymore. I don't care what you think. What I want is not connected to what it is that you can give me. I'm playing on new terms now. I know how the world works. You're working within the world very differently. And also your voice is very different. How you articulate yourself is very different. It's absolutely beautiful. So again, bringing in this knowledge and this wisdom that you have. Now, this is the knowledge and wisdom that we need in the world. world. And your guides are very powerful and they're there to help you, but we need people to really reach into the present moment. But also the most important thing is to cut away and to leave the echoes of the past behind. You know, even when we're in the present moment, a lot of us again are bringing in, which is what you used to do, is bringing in sort of the identity that you formed from the past in that present moment. Um, to be completely free, you get to choose who you are in that present moment, giving, certainly giving props, giving faith, and giving thanks to everything that you've been through in order to receive it, in order to receive who you are. But this is sort of laying down your sword, laying down who you are, who you were, and gaining the sort of insight and the knowledge to move forward in this really sort of directional way where you can get almost instantaneous results because you're working with the energy of the universe. You're relying on the energy of the universe, and you're not relying on human outcomes, the energy in and around. You're not spending a lot of time. For those of you who have been feeling a little bit exhausted or overwhelmed, what the universe is trying to show you is how much energy you take on. Now, when you're in the present moment and you really let go of the version of you, and just to be clear, the narrative of you so far, you're being really asked to shed the narrative of you so far. Take the experience, the experiential energy of what you've been through. Absolutely. Honor every aspect of it. You deserve to, of course. But when you stand in that moment, sort of free from it, and you get to choose and you get to work with the universe in a brand new way. You're not pouring your energy into the world, the sort of, to be clear, I guess, 3D world necessarily. Although we do live in a 3D world, and this idea that, you know, that we live in this 5D world, that, you know, it's the idea of being human, the understanding of being human is that you bring the 5D ideology and you integrate it into the 3D world, right? And elevate the 3D world. It's not really about living in La La Land in 5D. I think the energy can get really spacey when you try to live in 5D, and that's when people get confused and, you know, and they start spouting off about all sorts of weird stuff. I've seen it happen. God love him. You know, and that's when you start seeing that you're enlightened and other people aren't. You're in 5D and this is that and it's happening. And really it's about taking that 5D energy into the 3D and knowing that you're exactly the same as everybody else. You see yourself in everybody else, and there's no judgment. Everybody has their time and reason for everybody's at different levels, but nobody's above or beyond. We all need different levels in order to be able to see every layer of what we need to go through. So it's about bringing that 5D to the 3D realm. And that's exactly what you'll be doing with this knowledge. You'll be doing it in this new free way. Really want to, I've got tarot and oracle on the side here, and just going with the energy of what we need to get you. But I'm feeling another card here for you. Let's see. Let's do this one. Absolutely. The Seven of Pentacles here coming in. I want to do one more here too, of really being in your element. Now, if you've been listening to this reading and, you know, it's been resonating here. We've got the Two of Swords. Absolutely. I had a feeling swords would come up. Of coming in two ways, of working through understanding that you come to an impasse and moving forward in one direction, but being very clear cut about what that direction is. It's like, this is not a passive reading. This is a very powerful reading for the current situation that you're in. You'll be given the chance to really own who you are, leave the rest behind, and move forward in this new way. Now, your personality won't change per se. You'll still have that dark sense of humor, that beautiful, gracious self. But there'll be more confidence and more beauty in and around who you are, and the way in which you'll be pulling in new energy. Because you have more energy, you're not constantly fighting, or you're not trying to protect. You'll be in a brand new way to bring in whatever you've been working on to fruition. Now, let's be clear. Nothing has been necessarily on the sidelines. I mean, what you've been working on, you've been very active in your life. You know what you want. You're very driven. You may not have gotten quite the results that you want yet, but that's because you're here now and you're ready to move on and bring what you've been working on again to fruition, but bring it into the world sort of in a brand new way. Not with the energy that you possessed before, but with this sort of clear intention and this real peace and calming energy that you have to you. And this real sense of grace that you have, that's absolutely gorgeous. You've always had it within you, but you're too busy darting around really to be able to activate it to its full essence. But you are naturally very graceful. You have a lot of grace, very quiet, very calming. And even if you're sitting there going, you know, very calming. People find you very easy to talk to, and very safe, provide sort of a safe energy. This is something that you'll be able to bring to people in fruition. Absolutely, really big deal. You'll be able to bring to them in a brand new level here with this peaceful sort of version of self that's coming through now. So stretch and expand, absolutely, but expanding in a really different way. And play, absolutely. The messages from your guides too are, you know, please find time for playing. That's the thing, when you're always on your guard, and that's it too. Your body could be quite tense, and that's what you're moving through too. So as you relax, come back into play, come back into that inner child realm. You know, always on alert, always on alert. I mean, even your dreams sometimes can be extra vivid, because even your dreams are on alert, because you're so dedicated to who you are and who you want to be. It's a matter that even in your dreams you're doing that shadow work. You're always working. So we want you to work hard and use that passion, but we just want you to work less to be able to get the results that you want. And you're in a position to do that now. This is a very exciting time for you. And this is a peaceful time. There'll be, you know, like everything as we move through things, sometimes there's a little ups and downs as we navigate these new waters. And these are new waters for you. But you'll get through them. As we say on this channel, you know, this is, I think it's from the Bible. This too shall pass. So, you know, if there's some rocky waters every now and again as you're moving through it and you're trying to figure out, I just want to cut the ties from the echoes from the past. I want to be in this moment, in this new moment, choosing new. Just bear with it. You'll get this. This is brand new. Please don't be hard on yourself. You're so hard on yourself at times, Paul One, and yet you're so gracious to everyone else, you know? So give yourself that absolutely openness. You're ready to really expand, where we have stretch and expand. Expand and openness. You're really ready to take this to a new level. You wouldn't have been ready to do this before, because you were still on, for some of you it was attack, but there was a reason for it. There was a survival mentality that was still there. You needed to protect. And again, even if you didn't physically have to protect yourself in that way, you were ready for it because of your past. It's come up from somewhere. So this is something that you're moving forward into this new stretching and expanding, into this new openness consciousness, where you're not always looking over your shoulder, expecting either the other shoe to drop or expecting somebody to come at you. Now, we want to be clear, this is also coming in from past lives too. Some really intense energy from past lives that are still echoed in this life, but also you're moving through that too. So, you know, when this comes up, and you feel as though you need to defend in any way, even if it's not directly coming at you, even if a person or energy isn't directly coming at you, but you feel as though you need to defend anyway, just remember that this energy of feeling like you need to defend is actually from a past life. And and certain times there will be times to absolutely step up and say something or whatever. We're not saying that you'll never have to do that, but you'll be able to do that in this peaceful mode without being able to sort of be consumed by it, if that makes any sense. So just remind yourself when all of this stuff comes up, this too shall pass, and this is the old stuff coming up, and it's okay for it to come up, because we're really glad that it did, so we can see where it comes from, but I don't need to act from it anymore. Let's do one more here from Lord Ganesha. Oh, embrace, absolutely embrace this new sort of, for want of a better word, let's put the Seven of Pentacles up here, this new version of you. But really what it is, it's not really a new version of you. It's a new way of moving forward. It's a new way of taking everything that you've accumulated, all of these beautiful experiences, and being able to ground them into the earth, and now bringing it to be of service and to your fullest capacity. It's almost like you're hitting that hyperdrive button. You're ready to really move forward into the world and really be able to take your energy, whereas your energy was like this before. It's so expansive and open now. It can go in any different direction. So expect your life to change, opportunities to change, the sort of people that come in and around you to change. Remember to stay in that moment, without the echoes of the past, and really ground into your own energy and your own knowledge, working with the universe in a new way. Let them do the work. They'll give you signs. Let them do what it is that they're here to do. There's no reason for you to take it upon yourself to do absolutely everything yourself. You're coming into this new way of moving forward. Again, this is not passive. In many ways, everything that you've been through, and the way that you've accumulated your energy and the way in which you've moved through the world took a lot of energy. So it might at first feel as though this is quite a passive reading, and what we're telling you is passive, but the way in which you will move in the world is the opposite of passive. It's transcendent. So this is absolutely a huge deal for you. So we have chakra love. This is, we're just going to finish off with one of these. See what we have. Dreams. Dreams are where your mind translates the divine. Absolutely. In that moment you stay in that moment of being able to really grasp what your dreams are and actually feel as though you can bring them to fruition. Sort of for the first time in sort of technicolor. You've been able to sense them and feel them before. But seeing this also is being able to see them in its tangible form. Coming in and around you with seemingly the smallest amount of effort, but you've been sowing the seeds for such a long time. This really is your moment to shine, but to do it on your own terms, not being labored from your past in any way, shape, or form, using that beautiful, passionate energy that you have and that drive that you have without holding yourself back. Because the universe is like the wind is behind you now. When you, can't remember which way it is, but when you fly to Europe, it's like the wind is behind you, so it takes a less amount of time, and then flying back to the States, I think, takes a lot more time, but it's, the wind is finally behind you now, and you're allowing this. This is the time, because you're allowing this. This is your time. You sense that this is your time to sort of put down the armor and move forward and sort of risk being out there. You didn't want to risk it before, but this is your time. And again, we want to be really clear. There's reasons for this. There's reasons why you would have been in survival mode, so it's totally understandable. But this is your time to thrive. So we hope that you got something from this reading, Pile 1. We're sending you so much love and light. Remember, work with your beautiful guides. They're very powerful. They're ready to work with you, and they're ready to give you signs. Baby steps are the way to go if you don't know how to move forward, because before you would have tracked it all out. With this new energy, you might be feeling a little lost. I don't really know which way to move. I feel good in myself. I know this is possible, but I don't know the way forward. Remember, the universe will show you baby steps. All you need is one step. The next one will appear. So don't worry. You are absolutely being guided. Embrace, stay open, cut those echoes from the past, and remember, play, dream. A lot of our dreams come true, come to us when we're playing, and because that energy is like, it's open and expansive, and it's bringing it in quicker. So you don't have to over focus anymore. That's something that you also did in the past, over focusing, making sure that no shoe is going to be dropped, this, that, and the other. Don't need to do that anymore. The universe has your back. So again, take care. Sending so much love and light. Pile 1. Until we meet again. Bye-bye. Hello, Pile 2. Beautiful, beautiful energy here. Today we are doing what path are you currently on? Messages from your own spirit guides. And again, we want to be very clear, mentioned this in Pile 1, that your path can change at any particular time. We're just giving you an essence of the clarity behind your path. It's not necessarily predictive, as I mentioned in Pile 1. If people ever come for, when I am open for readings, I don't really do predictive, because your energy can shift at any moment, and you're really very much in control of that. So this is not like gun-ho, there will only be one way of doing this, but this will give you an idea of the energy that's in and around you right now, and how to proceed. And let us not forget that we also have the magic candle for a little extra elevation, activation, and healing. So as we said with Pile 1, getting some ideas and understanding for this first card. But if you feel something else, please feel free to jot it down in the comments below. I would love to know what kind of hit, for want of a better word, you got from this image. For you, feeling this image, Pile 2, this is about coming out of the shadows, really embracing every aspect of yourself, and really honing in on your own voice of truth, and really being out there in the world and saying, this is who I am in every sense of the word, and really encompassing and accepting every single part of yourself. For some of you, they could have been some really deep, dark shadow work that you've been doing, to really access those, and shame and guilt. Shame keeps coming up too, really giving some absolute light and acceptance to shame, and going back into childhood for a lot of you too. Now, this is not a small thing, because once light and acceptability and accepting of that energy comes in and around sort of that darkness that was previously dark, it really sort of ignites you in a completely different way. You really get a sense of who you are, reclaiming your body, reclaiming your understanding of who you are, and your anonymity, and your beauty, and your autonomy. So this is also a way for you to work with your passion and your beauty and your wisdom, and be able to really put forward your authority too, coming in. Whereas before, you always speak from the heart, you always speak truthfully, from your own experience, while listening and accepting other people's experience. And coming in from your own experience is a wonderful way to do it, because really at the end of the day, that's where you've gotten a lot of where you come from going through all these experiences. And you've gone through so many of them. You put yourself in positions just to have those experiences. So of course you have a lot to speak about, and that's wonderful. But what happens with you sometimes, Paul, too, is that experiential energy you don't necessarily see as truth. We want to remind you that science in its basic form is proving a theorem, and until that theorem can be disproved, it becomes our sort of our it becomes our plateau of truth, and then it's disproved, and then something else happens, and then we know more, and then we know more. So sometimes you've held yourself back a little bit, because you don't believe that you have enough experience, or that your experience only speaks to a certain sort of level of existence. And this is something that you're changing and you're shifting, and you're realizing, because you've been through it, because you've been through that deep level of experience and that understanding, and you've come out from the other side of it, you really understand this deep level, this intense, beautiful level of empathy. And a lot of people don't have that. We've seen that as, sort of so many things were exposed in 2020, and it all came to the forefront. So many wounds, and we got to see that People have been racing around for so long and not really sort of doing that sort of, not necessarily inner work, because that seems like we're shifting blame when we're not, but really not taking the time to sort of look within. There wasn't a lot of responsible energy where it's like, it's all sort of projecting instead of taking that energy in and trying to be responsible for it. Where does it come from? What do I need to do to own this? What do I have to do? What should I be doing here? It's like, it's you. It was all the external, right? And from that, we were able to gather that there wasn't a lot of empathy. It's almost like everybody was sort of, moving around so quickly and so immersed in the polarities of wrong or right, wanting to be wrong and wanting to be right, that the empathy was lost. Now, what's been happening with you is that as you've been shining the light on those deepest parts of yourself, and well done for doing that. A lot of people don't have the courage to do that. And I totally understand why people don't have courage to do it. I've said it so many times on this channel. It's it's scary work, and you're willing to put yourself out and do that and and be forever changed because of it. And the beautiful payoff is that you really get this insane, beautiful sort of induction into this new level of empathy. You had it before, but you have it at your core, and this is exactly what the world needs. We want to be really clear with you, Paul, too. um, People are always trying to get out there and change the world and do this, that, and the other. There's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely wonderful. Excuse me. But it's really about understanding your own energy. When one person understands their own energy and they omit beautiful compassion without an agenda, without the need to be right or wrong, without the sense of polarity, without the sense of their past, they higher the frequency of the world. They do so much more than they will ever know. And we want to remind you of this in those moments where you were like really beating yourself up, saying, I'm not out there quite the way that I want to be, and people keep asking me who I am, and I don't really know yet. I have an idea, and I say this one thing, and I believe that I am, and I believe I'm talented, but, I'm not far along enough in it, to really show what I have, or this, that, whatever it is that you're being hard on yourself. We want to remind you, and we absolutely want to promise you from the absolute moment of birth that everything that you've gone through and everything, all your energy that you put out there is so much more powerful in some ways than darting around and just going for it and randomly trying to see if things work. We promise you that you have been doing incredible work this whole time, and you are continuing to do it. You're in next level doing this now. Let's put this aside. Let's see what you have for your tarot. Yes, the Princess of Cups and the Seven of Wands here. Absolutely wonderful. Bringing it all together and presenting it to the world with this understanding of peace, and also just that, even with the princess energy, just got this kind of superhuman, you see a little tiara here. It actually reminded me, and I just got this pop of color from like Wonder Woman and the tiara that she has, and reminding you that, what you've been doing, you've been elevating the world so much that your energy's been doing that. So, for some of you who have taken a little bit of a back burner, like career or whatever it is that you've been doing, some of you have been putting something on hold a little bit. And now, you've gone back to like, I don't know why I did that, and I feel a little bit behind. We want to remind you that you're going to move forward in extraordinary, like really darting forward very quick ways, but also what you've been doing is really important work. And in some ways we understand that the payoff is not always really obvious in the work that you're doing, because you sort of work behind the shadows a little bit, but you'll be able to see it, and in small ways you'll be able to see it. And even when it does come back in small ways, like somebody will say something really insightful and beautiful about you, and you'll be like, oh, thank you, and like a part of you will absolutely believe them, and then a part of you will be surprised. And it's kind of funny that a part of you would be surprised with all the work that you've gone through, with all the imagery and all the beauty that you hold for the world. And sometimes the way in which you've protected the world, sometimes the way in which you've held the world, is that you've taken that darkness, and you've taken that darkness within yourself before to protect others, to protect the world. You're working and you're strong enough to do that. That takes an enormous amount of courage. It takes an enormous amount of strength. And you are aware of the strength that you have, but we don't really feel as though you understand how important you are. So, this reading is a reminder that the path that you're currently on is a very important one. It's a really beautiful one. And it's a path that not a lot of people will be able to do in this world, to be able to hold the light that you have, but also be able to hold as much darkness as you've had. So if you've been feeling really exhausted recently, you're coming into this plateau where you're moving out of holding the space for the world and moving much more into, from the internal to the external, being out there in the world, holding your own on your own terms. It's much more integrating process for you coming in. Let's see what we have. New beginnings. Absolutely, number one. And also with that red too, coming in with the red here, coming in with all this passion that you have. You have so much energy, so much drive. Before, it may have gone in zigzag directions a little bit, and you may not have always gotten the payoff that you were sort of expecting or that you were wanting. But that's because you had so much on your shoulders, and with the zigzag energy coming in and around you. But we want to promise you that you're coming into this brand new level of healing too. If you can see this hand coming in and holding. And they're off here because this is all the work that you've done. But some of you are coming into divine partnerships. Some of you are coming in with help from business side, help from soul family. Some of you are coming into all of it at the same time. Soul family coming in, introducing you to your significant other. For those of you who are already in a relationship, it's about really leveling up in that relationship in a brand new way of intimacy where maybe some of you could be working together on a project, or your energy is working together in a sort of a new sort of way, sort of weaving its beautiful fabric for both of you to sort of next level up. But you're working with your partner in a very specific way, and it could be again in a very tangible way where you're actually working together on a project. And your energy is melding, and whatever it is that you do, and however it is that you help each other out, or your soul family or whatever, it's very, very powerful. And these are the people that are going to be in and around you, where you realize you're not alone. There's been other people that have been holding the light too and doing all of this work. A lot of this work has been done sort of even in the shadow, sort of on its own, so it can be very lonely work. It's very intense work too. You're also very intense people. You could be not necessarily accused, but some people could see you as quite stoic. Or the other side of it is that people think that you're happy all the time because you have this mask. Or people think that you're not happy all the time, and they can't get a read off you because you're very stoic. Or you can be sort of leveling up in between both of those sort of pragmatic personalities. But either way, people don't really have a real firm hold of you, or you don't feel as though everybody knows every aspect of you, because they only see like the sort of the bubbly surface character that you put out there. And you do put that out there because of what you've been holding also. So this is a new beginning for you. This is a new level of commitment to yourself. This is a new level of commitment to integration. Also putting down some of that energy. We've moved through a very intense 2020, regardless of where you were in the world and what you were doing. Everybody felt some kind of leveling of it, even if they rallied against the energy, which is the way in which you handled it is your own personal private business. Nobody has the right to judge you over it. But none of us were unaffected by it. But this energy coming into 2021 is a new energy of reclaiming. This is the time where you can put down and move forward, put down sort of the heaviness and move forward. You've done a lot of that work now. Let's see what we have been called to. Some cards on the side here. I'm going to do another Tarot for you, this is a very exciting time for you because, some of the work that you've been doing has been feeling very lonely, and coming into energy of people that in and around you who share the same sort of energy and experiences that you do is not a small moment for you. It's a very teachable moment insofar as I actually want to pull one from here. Feeling this one, absolutely. 5 of Cups here, moving in from this sort of alone energy, and for the 8 of Pentacles here. So you're moving in from, let's move these up a little bit, of bringing all of your knowledge forward in this new way, and this sense of freedom that's coming in for you too, moving from the sort of loneliness, the aloneness, this sort of pivotal feeling of the potential of one. And now there was a certain amount of power in that too, but coming into this new sort of game of integration where all of this energy is coming in and around you, you know that you're not alone, and also sort of new doors opening up for you. Really seeing people being able to see your strength in a new way. This will happen for you too, pal, too, and it will be really quite strange for you. And at the beginning, you might be a little like, what's going on here? We totally understand, but that's why we're giving you a heads up. People will want to give you things, or people will want to give you a chance. And people will want to help you out in a way that goes beyond what's normally happening, to the point where, somebody else will be like, you got that? How did you get that? That's crazy. Like going for a house and you've got like, and you get the loan somehow, but you have horrible credit, or something really, really specific where in the world of dreams, you would have wanted that, but you don't know how you achieved it with what you had. You have, in your mind, on paper, you have very little to offer, and yet you're getting what it is that you want. This is because your energy is coming into a way that your strength is being shown, your strength of matter, your beauty is being shown, and people are treating you accordingly, and they're putting their faith in you because they see you for who you truly are, because you're in a position to open up, and your sense of authority is really grounded into your energy and your confidence, and people are going to want to, for want of a better term, take a chance on you, and they're not going to think twice about it. To the point where you tell people, oh, I did this today or this happened, and they go, really? And it doesn't mean that they don't think that you can achieve it. Not at all. It's just that what you have, sort of on paper doesn't correlate with what you should be achieving according to other people. But again, you've been working on the outskirts, you've been working on the edge, you've been working on the outside looking in. You've been doing things on your own terms. You've been working in the shadows. So, if you've not been accumulating everything sort of in the real world, right? In the world of the working person, the way that, got the accolades that everybody else has, it really doesn't matter, because you are here to prove, and this is what you're going to be doing in a very tangible way, that energy is everything. Frequency is everything. People react to energy and frequency absolutely without a shadow of a doubt. Somebody said this the other day, I can't remember, it might have even been Oprah. I've been watching little clips of her show on YouTube, but it's like, I can't remember where it's from, but everybody said it in one way or another. It's not a novel, brand new, but understanding, but your energy, your frequency speaks for you as you walk into a room before you open your mouth. And this is what people are picking up on. And that's how you're going to be able to really assess and see your power in tangible form in what opportunities are being given to you, and what opportunities are being laid out in front of you. And if you are a little suspicious, not necessarily suspicious, you're not suspicious of the person, but like, I don't know what's going on, this is kind of weird, go for it. Always listen to your intuition. But if your intuition tells you that there's a green light, go for it. Don't say no just because, oh, there's no reason why I should be doing this. This doesn't make any sense. If it doesn't make any sense, do it anyway if your intuition gives you the green light. These people are putting their trust in you, and you are trustworthy. You've been trustworthy from the beginning. This is what energy in and around you should be expecting. So don't you dare turn it down, pal, too, because you absolutely deserve it, you gorgeous creature, you. Let's see what Lord Ganesh or Lord Ganesha has for you here. So this is a beautiful time for you. That came out, as we say, a jumper. I always think that's a really strange way of putting it, actually. Jumping card. Surrender. And we have the number 2 coming in too. This is also about coming out of the realm of 1, coming into the realm of 2. For some of you, that's definitely romantic, without a shadow of a doubt. There's somebody on the horizons for you. You're coming out of your shell, or coming out of this way of being into a brand new version of sort of reality in one way or another. Divine support, absolutely. 1 second here. Absolutely divine support coming in. Remember to chime in there with your guardian angels, who are very, very powerful. Your guides are with us today. We are reading them today. They want you to know that they're absolutely there for you. And they really have been working to show you how gorgeous you are, like all the work that you've been doing, and how insanely powerful it is. Now, you, at moments, you really click into the understanding that it's powerful. You can feel it. But not until it's actually projected out into the world, where you see it coming back to you, will you understand how absolutely powerful and courageous you absolutely are. Without a doubt, beautiful. So don't forget to work with divine support while you do this. Those baby steps are coming in. And when those opportunities start coming in, check in with your spirit guides. What do you think? The other side of it is that everybody will want to work with you one way or another. So it's your time to step up and be choosy. Is this what I really want? Can I do a little bit better? Should I hold out? Your spirit guides will absolutely tell you. We're not telling you to take every opportunity that comes to you, but all these opportunities will be coming in. And even though if you think it's outside of your grasp, sort of on the physical plane, why am I being offered this? There's a reason why we want you to go for it anyway. The other message that we're getting for you that's very plain and clear is that you have a very clear understanding of the sort of life that you want, and that's wonderful. We want you to concentrate on baby steps. So sometimes that you miss opportunities because you're waiting for that, not big payoff, but you're waiting for something a little bit bigger. You're waiting for something a little bit bigger. That's wonderful. We want to remind you, keep that in mind. You're going to get exactly what you want. That's wonderful. Keep visualizing it. But sometimes those little things can bring you to the bigger thing. You don't always have to hold out for the bigger things. Those baby steps can be really exciting to move forward, and those baby steps could be taking you to them. If you for instance, if you're looking to, just for some reason, a house thing keeps coming up, and there's so many different levels to sort of the house things, the pragmatic, actually moving into a house, and then the house of being safe, your outer version of self, all sorts of different things. But, you want this really big house, and, that's wonderful. You'll absolutely get that. But if somebody offers you this beautiful apartment, and you're like, oh, but I want this really big house. I'm just going to go for this really big house. But where you're living right now is not exactly ideal, but you want this really big house. And somebody's offering you this beautiful apartment. Somebody in that apartment building, when you move into it, somebody in that town, in the coffee shop, even the landlord that's renting it or offering it to you, or the person that you'll meet as you lock up the door and go off to get coffee, whatever it is you're doing, go for workout, for your yoga studio, whatever it is, that's the person you could meet to either be with or to set up a business, or somebody who could change your life, or you can change their lives. Remember, in the baby steps will take you to the bigger steps. In the past, you may have felt as though you compromised yourself quite a bit. And the other side that you've done is that you've done all sorts of little different things. So you could have been quite hard on yourself, where it's like, I don't have anything tangible to show because I've gone off in so many different directions. Everything that you've done has not gone to waste, and it's all going to come together in this beautiful understanding. That's a lot of you are going to be starting off this new business by bringing in a lot of stuff that you've done in the past and bringing it together sort of in this brand new way, in this collective format. And we want you to know that all those little baby steps take you to the bigger step. So don't miss out on any of these opportunities, even if you feel as though they don't quite match what it is that you're going for. You're not going to compromise the bigger picture by going for baby steps. You're not. Just accept that things might look a little bit differently as you're moving forward. And go for it. Absolutely. Devote. Here, let's do one more too. Devote yourself to yourself. You've been doing so much work for holding the collective. This is time for you to put your energy forward. It may feel a little weird in some capacity, but it's more important for you to put your energy forward and to really understand what that looks and feels like on a day-to-day basis. You're not used to putting your energy forward in this way constantly. Give and receive. That's it. You're good at giving, where you're being asked to receive right now, to get that real inner balance. So this is your time to receive. Be receptive to, all of the receiving that is now there for you by putting your energy first. Remember, those baby steps will bring you to the largest step. And look out for those opportunities. Work with your beautiful guardian angels. For those of you who are coming into new relationships of sorts, which absolutely could involve love coming in, you're ready for all of this. It will probably happen quite expectedly. In fact, a lot of what's coming in might happen quite quickly, thick and fast. So the pace of everything that's going through when you hold space can really slow things down. So if the timing seems, and your days are going quicker, it's because your energy is shifting. So things could be very, very quick. Things can happen in very quick times and on multiple levels too. You're also working on multifaceted here. So just hold on to your pants as you move forward, because things are about to take off, pal, too. And it's a wonderful time. This is perfect timing for you. That was almost a jumper, but we've got the chakra love cards here. So let's finish off with one. Oh my goodness. Say jumper, there's like 3,000 of them. I think that was just me being clumsy. So let's pick you one here. What have we got? All things work best in conjunction with all things. Absolutely. Equilibrium. And that's what we've been saying. The give and receive, the new beginnings, the outer and the inner coming into the outer. Letting all of this energy comes to you, the balance of somebody else coming in also, accepting help from others, also using that passion and that beautiful autonomy that you have, balancing that out by putting it out into the world, not just holding space. Divine support, do that by devoting energy completely to yourself. That's the best way now that you can be of service to the world. It's pretty much the 180, complete opposite to what you were doing, but that aspect of your life here is done in that way. This is about you taking that energy and putting yourself out there the way in which you want. Remember, everything experience that you've been through, even though you've done a lot of this and a little of that and a little of that, is coming in to claim this next level empathy that you have for the world, for others, for this quiet beauty that you can now integrate back into the world. And you're going to be using that in a really beautiful way. You may even know what that is, and if you don't, that opportunity is coming too, to pull all of your experiential energy together, to meld it into something sort of brand new for people, and people will feel that energy and they will love it. This business will take off very quickly. Again, lightning speed for everything. So just take time out when you need to. But yeah, you're coming into a fast-paced kind of energy. So again, if days seem to go really quickly and weeks seem to go really quickly, it's just the expansion of time, the illusion of it, really, just because you're working very differently with the energy of the universe. So we hope we gave you some clarity today, sending so much love and light to you, pal, too. You've absolutely got this, you beautiful soul. Stay safe and sane until we meet again. Bye-bye. Hello, my lovely pal threes. If this is yours, as a reminder, we are doing What Path Are You Currently On? And we're getting messages from your spirit guides, as mentioned in pile 1 and pile 2, just to be clear. When I do readings, whether they're private or any other, or public in any way, predictive readings are one thing. You can pick up on the energy, but that can change at any moment because you're very powerful and any thought that you put out there changes. So this isn't one, um, linear, one specific path. This is more about the energy of where you are right now and the many different paths that you can take. So it's not holding you in one space. So we want to be clear. And also, as a reminder, don't forget we have this beautiful energy of the candle that you can absolutely let go of your woes, anything that you want to let go of right now, and bring in healing, activation, work on many different levels. And as we said before with pile 1 and pile 2, whatever I'm picking up or whatever we're picking up here for this energy of the card. If you get something, if you get a read off of this, feel free to drop it down below in the comments. I'd love to hear if there's any hit that you get off this for your reading also. So we will start with this and then we will move into other cards. So the energy of this that we're picking up here for you is that really feeling as though you're putting some boundaries up. You've been working on boundaries in many different ways, pile 3. In some ways you've also had to work with being empathetic toward yourself. The way in which you speak to yourself and the way in which you speak to other people are completely different. And just as a reminder, I've said that very recently on a reading, when you start with that tough talk, remind yourself, when you start speaking to yourself like that, would you speak to somebody else like that? If somebody came to you with a problem that you have and they were expressing it to you, you would try to come up with something. No, well, you did your best, you did this, that, and the other, and you would try to balance out their negativity and really help them in that way. So watch when you do that to yourself, that negative self-talk. There's a part of you that's had that before, in a way, because it was a way in which you were so dedicated to being better. And this could have been something from past lives, but it also could have been mirrored very much in this lifetime. And the people that you were in and around, maybe they didn't mean to do this to you. They just wanted you to be better. They wanted you to be as good as you possibly could be, so you wouldn't be hurt in the world. But this constant idea of criticism or not being not being recognized for who you are, or not being celebrated at every level. It's like, oh, if you did well, that's wonderful, we'll do a little bit better next time. It was always like, that's great, but oh, okay, but next time strive for this. It wasn't just you achieved that and that's wonderful. So feel as though for a lot of you, there's been that energy around you, and then there's been this intense, beautiful need for you to be the best person that you can be. Now, of course, that's something that you've been working on, that's something that you've been devoted to, but the way in which you've done that sometimes has been quite negative, in the way that you're very hard on yourself. And even when you achieve something, you'll do the same thing. Oh, I'll do better next time. Or, you'll allow yourself that celebration. And then the next hour, the next day, you'll be like, oh, is that it? All right, what next? Or maybe I could have done more. Maybe that wasn't enough, So celebrate the celebrations for what they are. And, and there's no race, and there's no right way of doing something. There's no, the way in which you see things. There's no recognition. You're not, to a certain degree, people have said that the way in which we live is a bit of a game. And if that analogy works for you, then absolutely use it. Learn to play the game, have some fun with the game. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people agree, some people don't. If that works for you, then you use it. You do strategize one way or another. You're extremely smart, and that's because you see everything. You see things that other people don't see. So you always have a huge amount of emotional attachments to everything that's going on, because you feel everything, but you also have a lot of information, mostly that people don't tell you. So you're always armed with a lot of information, including a lot of information for yourself. So you felt a little overwhelmed at times, but you've had to learn those boundaries where you start and somebody else begins. You've had to learn them. Sometimes you've had to learn them the hard way. But this is a brand new sort of leveling up in that, where you're not taking on anything that doesn't belong to you anymore. Now, this is something that you've not done before, because a lot of you are of the essence, and I absolutely agree with this, but I can totally understand how it can be taken to another level. Everything that comes to you has a chance to teach you a lesson. Now, some people say in the spiritual world that, the energy that around you, it's mirroring you. I don't necessarily believe that. I think that people really are just nasty sometimes, and that's just the way that they are, and that's okay. Again, no judgment. They are the way that they are. I'm not going to spend any time trying to figure out how they got there or whatever. You can just give them some compassion and get the F out of there, right? But I don't think that every situation that comes in, every person that comes in and around you, is mirrored of your energy. I do believe that there's something that you can learn from it if you decide to. But things just happen sometimes. They just do. There's variants of it. Things just happen. But as you're coming into that knowledge, it's just that you have that knowledge, or that understanding that everything that comes from you, to you or in and around you, you can learn from it. And you sometimes would have held the memory or held the understanding that it is a mirror and you've got to sort it out. So, you've gone the other way. While a lot of people don't necessarily take responsibility for their own actions, they revert to, projecting onto other people, or they try to convince everybody that they're right. And again, that's just the way that they are. You've gone the other way, though. You've taken so much profound responsibility for everything that comes in. So you can take it all in and make sure that you don't go through this again. You can be the best person that you can be. That you've taken in a lot of that energy, and those boundaries have gotten blurred. So the thing about people who don't necessarily take responsibility is that they may mesh their boundaries, but they're very firm in their identity. They're very wrapped up in their identity. They know their narrative. To some degree, I'm not saying it's a good thing by any stretch of the imagination, but that form of expression, that form of who they are, can protect them a little bit. Because they're so gung-ho about one thing. They're grounded into that sense of identity. It's a very specific kind of grounding, but it does protect them. It insulates them just a little bit one way or another. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do that, but you've done the opposite. Because you've taken everything on, you've been open to everything, there's not been any insulation. So you've not always been very grounded. Sometimes you've been earthy, but not very grounded necessarily. You can get overwhelmed by things. You take on a lot of the energy of in and around you, so you can process it. And so you can use it as a catalyst. Now, you're very powerful. You came in as an alchemist. You'll leave as an alchemist. And you're working with that energy. So good for you. You're able to do it. What the universe is saying to you is you don't have to do that anymore. This is a new leveling up. You don't need to do that. That's a lot of work for you to do. And while you've worked in that, and you've learned a lot, and you can teach people this, but there's an easier way of doing it. And that's what you're doing. You're stepping back and you're saying, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not taking on the external understandings of the world, that energy. I'm not doing that catalyst stuff anymore. I'm actually putting up a barrier and saying, I don't need this. And when you put up a barrier, that boundary, it might feel wrong. It might, even the understanding of it, oh, no, but we're supposed to take everything and fit. That's how you feel. But sometimes boundaries are your insulation, and in that insulation, you'll be given the space to be able to level up in a brand new way. You need to be able to take that space to be able to do this. This is a very exciting time for you. So let's see what we have for you. Yes, the Chariot. Oh, the Empress. My goodness, could not have found better cards for you. The Empress and the Chariot. So we've got this real beauty of this divine masculine, the divine feminine. So whereas before you've been really working with either the divine masculine or either the divine feminine, this is about you coming back into yourself and really balancing out both of them. And moving forward again in a brand new way. And as I always say in this channel, particularly at the beginning of this year, even though there's always very different energy between pile 1, 2, and 3. And they are timeless readings. But when we do the timeless reading, there's a collective energy that's in and around us at the time. And also there's a red thread that goes through a little bit with all of the readings. So they usually have something in common. That's not uncommon for that to show up because it's a collective reading. Again, very different energies. So it's still worth really choosing the pile that you want. But very recently, I've had a lot of people contact me and they said, I've read I've chosen all 3 of the piles, maybe not just 1, 2, and 3, maybe out of context, out of sequence, and they all resonate. And I'm not surprised at the time that they all resonate because of how clear the collective energy is right now. But for you, coming back to that, it's working with this sense of peace, of this direct energy of not just one or the other. And not necessarily feeling unbalanced when you work with just the divine masculine and just the divine feminine, because when you immerse yourself in just one aspect of it, there's a lot to gain in many ways, because again, you're used to going deep. There's nothing you won't uncover. You may be Scorpios or have the Scorpio sort of mentality either in your chart or in your mind. You'll go deep, you'll excavate, you'll do that. You're not afraid of that. You're alchemists. You know that things can be transformed. And they have been. And sometimes you force yourself to transform them. You put yourself into a particular dilemma or this, that, and the other, knowing at the end that you're going to be forced to transform and knowing that you will find the strength to do it. Some of you even maybe put yourself in dangerous situations one way or another because at the end there's no fear there really, because transformation, we're here to transform, and that's to transform and transcend, and you're coded for that, you're wired for that, so you're not afraid of it. It's a wonderful way of being. But living in that sort of extremes of just the divine masculine and just the divine feminine, while absolutely gorgeous and digging deep and learning so much, you may not have gotten the physical results that you wanted, because for those to happen, there needs to be some clarity. For clarity to really happen, you need to come in to a certain amount of balance. Now, this is being afforded to you now, this balance. So this sense of harmony is coming in, as well as really understanding that for you to balance completely and totally, and for you to use your alchemy in such a way that's absolutely beautiful and extremely powerful, coming to the next level of your alchemy, there needs to be those boundaries there. It needs to be, I'm not taking on that energy. I don't need to anymore. Let's see what we have here. Spiritual partnership. Absolutely. Could not have picked a better card for you either. These cards are really spot on today. So, I mean, they're always spot on, but sometimes you just get those tingles, right? Getting those tingles right now. So, spiritual partnership. This is, again, coming into the physical realm as well as balancing out the masculine and the divine masculine, the divine feminine. Now, let's be clear. You've done so much work on both of them now, integrating them back into yourself, integrating them back into your soul with that level of, I don't need to get involved in this, with that level of sort of stepping back out of that, for want of a better word, drama, right? You don't need to take on all of the stuff that's coming up to the surface now that's on the external, because it's sometimes when you take it on, you take it in as a catalyst. You're taking that responsibility away from somebody else who really needs to step up and do that work. And while it was really beautiful of you to do that, now is the time for you to step back and say, I'm not going to do that anymore. Now, you might find that there are people in and around you who like a little bit of drama as you step up and put these boundaries up one way or another. And you don't even need to physically put them up. A lot of this will be sort of a spiritual kind of just an acclamation within yourself, but people will sense it, and they may not be that happy one way or another. They might ghost you, or they might, whatever. That's fine. Let them do whatever they need to do. This is your time to step in and step up and do whatever it is that you need to do, and show that power and bring that power and passion back into this new sense of equilibrium, so you can move forward. And really, you've been doing things again, pile 1 and 2, again, very different energy, but similar in some ways, on the outskirts. This is about you going for success, not one way or another. We're not saying that that you're owed it or that you need it or anything like that, but this is time for you to have that success in the world. The more people that you can meet, the more people you can change, and you have so much power. It would be a shame to be able to sort of hide it under a bushel. That's a biblical reference, and if I've offended anybody by miscommunicating that, I sincerely apologize. I have not read the Bible since I was 14, and even then I did not have a very good understanding of it. Freaked me out more than anything else, I think. So I'm not the best person, but I think that's biblical. But coming into the understanding of who you are is really about taking that strength and integrating it into the world now. And that's what we need of you. And in this way, you are very similar to the energy of Pile 2. If you're being called to your intuition to check out Pile 2, go ahead and do that, but don't feel as though you need to. Again, slightly different energy, but your paths are kind of similar in some ways. But just this absolute gorgeousness, a lot of elemental and fairy energy around you, and that really sort of being focused on, whereas before when you had the divine masculine and feminine, elements of that could have come in, but really focusing on the lightness and the joy, the integration of the inner child, being able to sort of really truly be yourself instead of sort of in focusing or learning mode. You've been in like paying attention, learning mode a good portion of your life, almost like you're getting, I've said this on this channel before, almost like you are playing that game and you are at school and you're being graded. This is a new profound freedom for you, living spherically, moving in any direction that you want, knowing that you have that sense of alchemy that you can use for your own purposes now. And no, it is not selfish, Pile 3. Absolutely not. Harmony, absolutely. Coming into that spiritual partnership, that balance, that harmony. But it's very powerful. Again, you know, I said in Pile 1, and I want to remind you of this, nothing about this reading is in any way passive. This is about external energy moving forward and integrating into this world. And all of those things that you wanted and you've been working toward, but you've also been doing the inner work. So it feels as though the achievement of it has been sort of on the back burner. It's now available to you now. There's nothing wrong for you to want money or success or whatever it is. Success just means that you're reaching more people. Money just means that you can help more people out. Empowerment, absolutely. A new level of empowerment coming to you. And I don't say that very often on this channel because sometimes it's taken out of context, but it won't be for you here. This empowerment that you're owed. You've done so much work. I had a friend of mine years and years ago. She used to say things like, we're not owed anything. We're not owed anything. We're not owed love. We're not owed this. And I know that some people can get really, really hung up with the owed because there's a sense of attachment to it. Totally understand that. But we hope that you understand that what we're saying is that, and look at harmony and empowerment is really coming, and look how similar and beautiful. Got these gorgeous light coming in, this beautiful light, not just of enlightenment, but, and again, that word, some people try to strive for enlightenment. You know, if we let go, we can just have a little bit more clarity in and around that. But just having that light come in and that source energy come in, really be connected to yourself and see yourself as source, and thus working with source differently, no matter how you see it, God, goddess, biblical God, spirituality, source, however it's all the same. However you see it, it's absolutely all the same. So this real empowerment of bringing this sense of alchemy, this sense of knowledge and wisdom, which, by the way, you have spent many lifetimes culminating in, bringing in and working with. This is not your first rodeo with this, and this you probably sense. But actually bringing it out in practical form and having it work for you. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the payoff. You deserve it. You really do. And like we said, it's owed to you. There's certain things that you were here to achieve in this lifetime, and you will achieve them. And this is your path to achieving them. You've been on that path your entire life, but this is where you'll start seeing the physicalities of it. Making mistakes here. Make mistakes, absolutely. Now, the one thing that we're going to say here, let's see what this is, clear the vessel. So the last thing that we have here is that because you've been working on such a specific way with delving into divine feminine, delving into divine masculine, delving into whatever it is that you do, almost in a sort of scholarly fashion, no stone left unturned, you know, sort of the Sherlock Holmes of, you know, spirituality, which is absolutely gorgeous. You know, you have a very sort of practical mindset. So as you come out of this and you're moving into this real harmony and moving forward and really clicking into your sense of power, you always had a very direct sort of process before. And it's not that you haven't made mistakes, you've certainly made mistakes, but there's going to be a little bit of, maybe for some of you, feeling a little bit lost. So this message is for those of you who are feeling a little bit lost as you come into this new way of being. Just go for those baby steps anyway. Even if they don't lead you exactly where you want to be, that's fine. Just take that movement forward. Don't be so obsessed with having things look a certain way. The way in which you worked before, projected onto your new situation, will not work for you anymore. Clear the old of how you used to work and work with your intuition, even if your intuition is telling you to do something that seems a little bad shit, right? There's a reason for it. There was a practical element to your personality when you were breaking things down before that just won't apply anymore. So it'll feel as though you're going against your gut instinct at the beginning because it won't feel natural to you. That's totally fine. Give yourself some space and time. And again, if you clear the old, it will become a lot more natural to you as you move through and you get used to this new energy. But don't be worried about just moving forward and seeing what happens. You don't have to have these calculated risks and figure these things out as you did before. It's much more of a flexible moving forward. It's not that you weren't flexible before, but you had an itinerary. It's okay to know what you want and not have a damn clue how to get there, because the universe and you coming together with your partnership and this harmony and whatever, it's going to take you there very, very quickly. But it may not look like, your route may not be as clear as it had been before, as you put yourself out there before. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. You might see it that way. We absolutely promise you the payoff is there. We absolutely promise you it's going to take you where you need to be, even if it feels as though this step doesn't seem like it's going to lead on to this step. It's going to lead somewhere very specific for you that you need to be. So remember to be open, be flexible. Go right back into your intuition, your heart space. Your mind sometimes lies to you. God love it. It's wired. It's not wired for joy. It's not even wired for success. It's wired for protection, and it's wired for survival. It's there to keep you alive. So is your ego. Now, we don't have to transcend the ego or anything like that. We just have to learn to work with the ego. That's it. The ego works for you. So when the mind comes up, and that's the way that you've worked before, there's nothing wrong with it. When the mind comes up and says, I don't know about this, you can say, I appreciate your point of view, but remember, you work for me. Check in with your heart space. Your heart space is going to take you right into your intuition. Your intuition is going to, we know this doesn't make any sense, but we want you to do this. We promise you there's going to be something. So remember, if you're feeling a little bit lost, check in with your head space, absolutely, but then check in with your heart space. Your heart space has the true answer. Your head space just trying to keep you. Not only is it trying to protect you and keep you in survival mode, but it's also trying to keep you to what worked before. So that's why the clear the vessel came up. Clear what worked before. It's not going to like that. Your mind and your ego is not going to like that, and that's okay. It does not need to like everything that you do. Remember, it works for you. So just for those of you who are coming into this energy, or you're already there, the lost feeling is a good feeling. Stay with it, stay flexible, and pop right back into your heart space. It's going to tell you where you need to be, and just, you're not going to make mistakes. The card isn't actually completely correct, but even if you feel as though, if I do this, it could be a mistake, do it anyway. Even if a mistake is inevitable, we want you to get used to the idea of making mistakes, because that's where the beauty is. Ooh, this popped out. Calmness. To calm your monkey mind, do not feed the animal. What did we just say? And that literally just jumped out. That's hilarious. And this is your crown chakra with the purple here. A lot of purples here, even purple there, connecting to your crown chakra of what it is that you're supposed to do in this lifetime. Your blueprint is there. You're aware of it. So you'll click into certain aspects of your life when you're supposed to. You never go completely off track. And if you do, it's for a reason. So again, Calm your monkey mind, calm that ego. Remind the ego it works for you. And while you appreciate it being there, you don't need to transcend it. We're having a human experience. If we were going to transcend the ego, we wouldn't be in a human body. But it doesn't mean that we need the ego to hold us back in any way. This is a way for you to come into balance with your ego and work with it. So again, when that lost feeling comes in, fall right into your intuition, into your heart space. It will tell you exactly where you need to be. And regardless of whether you think it's a mistake or not, just do it if your intuition tells you to do it. Listen to your intuition, and your intuition is in your heart space. It is not in your head space. Now, occasionally when you start working, once you start working with your intuition in such a way and the ego knows its place, your heart and your head will start coming together. But until that, they may be at odds with each other. And again, that's totally fine. You know, the ego is there for us sometimes for protection, for survival, and there's certain times in our lives it probably did physically keep us alive. So we don't want to get rid of it. We don't want to get rid of it. We don't need to transcend it. We just need to work with it and put it in its place. And that's where you're at. You're going to be able to do this now. Not a passive way of moving forward at all. It's a very powerful way of being out in the world. So that's what we have for you, Pile 3, but sincerely hope it resonated with you. Absolutely. We're sending you so much love and light, so much beauty to you from the bottom of my heart to your heart, your intuition. Until we meet again, go be you, go have that fun, and go make some mistakes, even though they're not really mistakes. But however your mind sees them, go make them. Go have some fun. Let that inner child roam free and wild. Stay safe and sane. Until we meet again, Pile 3. Bye-bye.